I was awake, or at least I thought I was. My eyes were closed, but I could hear the steady beep of the heart monitor next to me, feel the scratchy hospital sheets against my skin, and smell the antiseptic tang of the room. The pain in my chest had dulled, replaced by a strange, heavy sensation. I tried to lift my hand, but it felt like lead. Suddenly, a chill crept through the room, colder than ice, seeping into my bones. I forced my eyes open, but when I did, everything was wrong. I wasn't in my body anymore. I was floating above it, staring down at myself lying limp on the bed in room 31. My skin was gray and lifeless, lips slightly parted, eyes half open with a vacant, glassy stare. The doctors and nurses worked frantically around me, their movements blurred and frantic. They were underwater. I heard snippets of panicked shouts. "We're losing him. No pulse. Get the crash cart." A terrifying realization gripped me. I was dead. And then, from the corner of the room, a shadow began to move. It was darker than the rest of the room, an unnatural darkness that seemed to swallow the light around it. It slithered across the floor, creeping closer to my body. No, to me. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I tried to move, but I was paralyzed in this strange, ghostly form. The shadow stretched upwards, looming over me like a dark, twisted figure. It had no face, but I could feel its eyes on me, bold and malevolent. It whispered my name in a voice like cracking ice, sending a shiver through whatever was left of my soul. Then, with a sudden, violent lunge, it reached for me. Old, inky tendrils wrapped around my spectral form, pulling me toward it. The room faded away, replaced by a suffocating blackness. I was being dragged into an abyss, deeper and deeper, until there was nothing but darkness and the sound of my own heartbeat. Slowing. But then, just as suddenly as I had left, I was back in room 31. The nurse with dark hair was still there, her face pale and streaked with tears as she pounded on my chest. The doctor shouted, "Clear." A jolt ran through my body, but the flatline continued. The shadow didn't leave, hovered at the edge of the room, just out of sight, as if waiting, watching. Again, the doctor's voice was desperate. "Clear." Another shock, another moment of searing pain, and then I felt it. A violent pull, yanking me back towards my body. I tried to resist, fearing the return of that monstrous shadow, but I was pulled back in with a force I couldn't fight. I gasped, my eyes snapping open. The bright lights of room 31 flooded my vision, and the beeping sound on the monitor changed, becoming rhythmic once more. The nurse let out a sob of relief, but I couldn't shake the icy grip of fear. The doctor leaned over me, his face lined with exhaustion. "Welcome back," he said, his voice shaking. But as I lay there, I could still feel the shadow's presence. I turned my head slightly, my heart pounding, and saw it in the corner, darker than any shadow should be. It was still there, lurking, waiting. I realized with a cold certainty that whatever had pulled me back wasn't done with me. Not yet. Room 31 was quiet, the only sound the steady beep of the monitor. But in the silence, I could hear it. Faint, whispering voice that chilled my blood. "Next time, you won't escape." I closed my eyes, trying to shake off the terror, but the whispering continued, growing louder, echoing in my mind. And I knew deep down in the marrow of my bones that the shadow was right. It was waiting for me, just on the other side of the darkness.